Gavin Newsom, the man who so desperately wants to be the nominee for president in 2024 of the Democratic Party, came out after the mass shooting in Monterey Park, where 11 people were shot and killed recently at a dance studio. And he showed what a blatant anti-Second Amendment hypocrite he really is. He is such a phony that he doesn't understand that his silver-tongued BS doesn't work on this subject. He says things that just aren't true, and the main goal is to disarm law-abiding gun owners. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we are the antidote to the daily onslaught of radical woke Marxist propaganda. So, Gavin Newsom is now with a reporter, and he's walking down the street, and he says some very surprising things because he's usually more slick, or should I say slimy, than this. Give it a listen.
We found the governor here in Monterey Park, not far from the dance studio where at least 11 were killed.
Nothing about this is surprising. Everything about this is infuriating.
Okay, so he says that everything about this is infuriating and nothing is surprising. Folks, this is the same man who told Californians that they had to lock themselves down, lose their jobs, close their businesses, and they wouldn't even let people surf alone in the ocean with no one around for miles. And yet he got caught at a fancy schmancy restaurant with his friends and donor pals, and they were all sitting around the same table with no social distancing whatsoever and no masks. So we're supposed to believe this hypocrite is infuriated when people are shot in his state? I would argue that his asinine gun control laws are a contributing factor to people being shot in his state. All right, let's move on.
California has the strictest gun laws in the U.S.
All right, so the point that nobody seems to get is that if California has the strictest gun laws in the country, then how come they have a very high murder rate? Why? I thought gun control laws work. They always tell us that, right? So if gun controls work and California has the strictest gun control laws in the country, then why do they have so many crimes committed with a gun? And now Newsom is about to say something that should infuriate you if you believe in the Second Amendment.
I mean, the Second Amendment's becoming a suicide pact.
All right, so he just said, you heard it, he just said that the Second Amendment has become a suicide pact. And then the reporter goes and asks him a question.
There's many people in this country that support the Second Amendment and are lawful gun owners.
Yeah, I have great respect. I have no ideological opposition to someone reasonably and responsibly owning firearms.
Okay, so he then says, to her credit, she asked him, so many Americans support the Second Amendment. This hypocrite, without batting an eye, he goes and says, I support this Second Amendment too. I've got great respect. How the hell can you say that you support the Second Amendment when your last breath you said that the Second Amendment has become a suicide pact? You can't, unless you're a hypocrite. He talks about background checks, which I think are unconstitutional, because there's nothing in the Second Amendment that says you're allowed to infringe on a person's right to keep and bear arms, right? That's another video for another day. But this reporter, who is a pistol, pun intended, she asked him that question, right? And I love that. So he goes on and says, oh, well, as long as there's background checks, I have a lot of respect for the Second Amendment. No, you don't, Gavin. You don't have any respect for the Second Amendment.
Getting background checks and being trained.
Authorities say the shooter used a modified pistol with a high-capacity magazine.
So now, high-capacity magazine, right? The gun that he used and high-capacity magazine, right? That's banned in the state of California. So, again, to her credit, she asks him a very important question.
But how did he get a gun that's illegal in the state of California?
We'll figure it out.
All right, so she says, so how did he get a gun that's illegal in the state of California? Which what she's really saying is what I said in the beginning, is that if the state of California has the strictest gun control laws in the nation, then he shouldn't have been able to get that gun. And then Newsom says, oh, we'll just figure it out, which is politicians speak for, I have no idea how to answer that question, but I want to assure you that I'm on top of things. Folks, the point is that gun control laws only stop law-abiding gun owners. Gun control laws never stop the criminal from misusing a gun during the commission of a crime. Duh. That's why we call them criminals, folks. They don't obey the law. Only law-abiding gun owners obey gun laws. And so the Democratic Party's move all along was to pass gun control laws that infringe on the rights of a law-abiding gun owner who does not cause problems, and it will do nothing to the criminal. See, the problem with Democrats is they always go after the inanimate object. They go after the gun. They say, oh, if we get these guns. No, if you get the shooters, the criminals off the streets. But see, the Democrats no longer want to prosecute crimes. So Newsom says, we'll figure it out. I don't think so, Gavin. You haven't figured it out yet. But here's the thing that really pisses me off. Gavin Newsom, the big badass governor, is walking down the street saying that the Second Amendment has become a suicide pact and that he's got three armed guards walking behind him. All right? So do you think the little old lady who's walking to the market on some of the streets in his state will have 3 armed guards protecting her with all the crime that's broken out recently out in that state? All right, so just like he breaks his own COVID rules, that hypocrite is going to stand there and tell you, oh, the Second Amendment has just become a suicide pact. Meanwhile, he's standing there with 3 guards protecting him with guns. Welcome to Gavin Newsom 2024 campaign. Okay, so that's it. Visit rpwmedia.com and read all of our stories. Thanks a lot for spending time with us. We'll see you in the next one.